Hi, I'm Courtney, and I'm here to talk about dispositions in education. A disposition is a value, attitude, and belief that shape the way teachers engage in learning and the community that it creates. A good teacher is someone that can reflect on their past mistakes and change them. They spend time after each day going over the things that they did, and they reflect on the choices that they make, how they treat each student, and it's something that they deem as really important because every time we engage with a student, it really does affect them. Doesn't matter if they're in pre-K, doesn't matter if they're a senior, the remarks that we make last with people a lifetime. Anything that you say, once it's out, it can't be taken back. And the day to day, being an educator is hard. Um, but the way that we persevere through it, that is what most people remember. So during those challenging times, when you have a hard time teaching a math class because no one's paying attention, or maybe the math is actually really hard and you are struggling with it yourself, but you're trying to get a group of third graders to understand fractions. Those moments, the students might not, but they might not realize what you're doing, but you're modeling that behavior so that when they're frustrated and they're upset because they don't understand fractions, they can push through it as well. From all of my years in school and even in college, the teachers that I remember the most were the most compassionate. And I think that every rule is important to be black and white. If you do this, then this is what's going to happen. But there are those days where we need to give students grace because we don't know all that has happened leading up to them walking through our classroom door. And even though there are days where we've told the same student 5 times to sit down, or that they need to stop talking, or that they need to be kinder to their friends, behavior is just communication. And I think it's really important that we take the time to figure out what that student is communicating. And it doesn't mean that we ignore behavior that isn't appropriate, right? So it's okay to say, I understand exactly how you're feeling because you've gone through A, B, and C, but you need to stop doing this behavior because A, it could be dangerous to the students in the classroom, or B, it could be a danger to themselves, or C, it's just not appropriate for that time. And, consequences are something that you go through, good or bad. So you can still be a compassionate teacher and give consequences. Compassion just it means that you have understanding and you care and you want to help that student grow. You want them to know that you are their safe space, but you're still going to hold them accountable because that's really what's important. For myself, my strongest tendencies are that I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn. I love that there is continuous new things that pop out. I love that every part of these dispositions is really something that I can learn and I can grow and I can change. There was many years where I was afraid of change and I was worried and I hated it. But really, when you are in a place, the things that you maybe not don't like about yourself, you can change and you can grow and you can become a new person, an even better person that God wants you to be, which is so, so important to me. The dispositions that I have to work on is communication. I can sometimes say exactly what I think versus kind of realizing that education does have a lot of red tape and you have to word things in an appropriate way, which, you know, sometimes for me it doesn't it seems kind of redundant, but really it is important because having a parent sitting across from you and you saying, "Well, your student is being bad," or whatever the case may be, parents don't necessarily want to hear that. They want to hear the good and they want to know that there's quote unquote nothing wrong with their child. And there might be times where there are, and it's just how you word it because again, this is where compassion comes into play. And that's really why I feel like overall compassion is really important. But I also think for myself, I also need to learn, and I'm going to continuously have to learn respect for diversity because I am just one person and I'm only living the life that I live. So I'm not going to understand culture and all of the, you know, things that people go through. And I'm not always necessarily going to agree with everybody that's in my classroom. But the important thing is that I have respect for them, whether I agree with what they are doing or not. And, you know, using the fact that you don't know about something, it doesn't work. You can't use that as an excuse. It's my job as the educator, as the person that has these students in my classroom for 6, 7, 8 hours a day to learn and to understand what is appropriate and what is not. Because at the end of the day, what makes a good teacher is not just about what we're teaching in the classroom, but it's about who we are. And that's really important. Thanks.